Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the digital asset investor, and I pulled my lower back. I tell you what, there's one pain in this world that I hate more than any other, and that is when I pull my lower back. And somehow this happens to me maybe every year or two. I'll get a good pull in my lower back, and it's like you know that once you get it, you got a week or two before it's just going to go away, and there's nothing you can do in the meantime. And you're walking kind of bent over. It's just awful. So, and then what's worse about it is when you're asleep, if you turn the wrong way or you lay the wrong way and it catches where it's pulled, immediately I'll spring up in bed, and it's the worst pain in the world trying to straighten yourself out. It feels like you're being stabbed in the lower back. It's awful. So I have a week or 2 weeks ahead of me that I know is going to be fun. I'm going to try to get on the treadmill and walk it off today, or start to walk it off. Let's see if we can get rid of it. Okay, I got this from at Bob in Deep XRP. I just wanted to talk about Jamie Dimon for a minute. I know that he's so concerned about how the poor are being left behind. Jamie Dimon says, this is on CNBC, Jamie Dimon says, we've split the U.S. economy, leaving the poor behind. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon points to two Americas, one that is benefiting from thriving U.S. corporations and another that is struggling. It is absolutely obvious that a big chunk of people have been left behind, Dimon says. Well, poor Jamie. He's so worried about the poor being left behind. Now remember, let's do a rewind here because I've talked about it several times on this channel, and that is Jamie Dimon is in the bailout class. Jamie Dimon was bailed out during the financial crisis of 2009 or 10. In a rewrite of history, he would love to tell you that he didn't need the bailout. He just took it because he had to. He was just trying to be a team player, but the government just made him take a bailout. Well, those people that took those bailouts, never forget that the very next year, their executives were given the largest bonuses, I believe, that they had received in history. So these people, not only did they take the bailouts from the U.S. taxpayers, and this happened worldwide, really. Not only did they take the bailouts, then they turned around and they knew, and if you think they didn't know that this would create a separation between the haves and the have-nots and create more poor, then think again. There's an old saying, I believe it goes, socialism for the wealthy, capitalism for the poor. In other words, the rich are always going to take care of themselves, and the government will take care of them. And the people that get screwed are the poor and the middle class. And that's what happened. That's what the bailout represented, was the screwing of the middle class and of the poor. And so this guy has some gall to come out and try to act like he gives two you-know-whats about the poor and their predicament. Because the truth is, if they had really wanted to do something to help the poor back during the bailouts, you want to bail somebody out? They could have used all that bailout money and given it to the poor or the middle class, but they didn't do that. Not only did they not do that, but they bailed out themselves, the banks, and they bailed out themselves, and then those same banks, anyone who was defaulting because of the financial crisis with those banks on their mortgages and everything else, those banks turned around and went after those people. Imagine the gall. They're bailed out, then they turn around and go after legally those poor that Jamie's so worried about. They go after those people, and they spent years. Some of them are still going after those people. That's a fact. So anyway, there's my Jamie Dimon rant. Moving along. From Leonidas at Leo, HADJILOIZOU. Give him a follow. Great XRP community member, and he also has XRParcade.com. And he posted this article. The Amazon of Switzerland, Digitech Galaxus, is now accepting Bitcoin and other select cryptocurrencies, including XRP, as a means of payment. Boom. That is big. Thank you, Leonidas. That right there is, I see all the news all the time over the last 15 months while we've been in this bear market. We've seen all kinds of good news, bad news, but mainly just hundreds of pieces of good news about Ripple. And you see things like this. This one piece of news alone should send XRP going through the roof. But it's just, we continue to have the water built against the dam. When I was talking to my father this morning, and he said, none of this really makes any sense whatsoever. He said, this market should be exploding right now. And he said there must be some kind of manipulation that's really trying to hold this thing back until they're ready, because everything that you see, the stars are aligned. This thing is ready for takeoff, and every day we see something else. And I'm about to show you many things that just go right in line with this. It's just a matter of time, and that's what I say. And I don't think it's a lot of time. I don't believe that. Okay, from XRP Crypto Wolf, Japan introduces new regulations for cryptocurrency margin trading. The new regulations are reportedly to come into force in April 2020, will require cryptocurrency exchange operators to register within 18 months of that date. Well, this is huge, because when you're introducing margin trading, that means that not only are people going to be able to buy and sell cryptocurrencies, but they're also going to be able to borrow money to do it. And that is the maturation of a market, or the creation of a market, I guess is more how you would see it. Okay, from XRP James T, at XRP James, sent me this. I forgot to cover this the other day. WooCommerce integrates XRP when e-commerce sales are projected to hit 4.8 trillion by 2021. What this is in reference to, I covered it about a week or two ago. Wheat Say Wind had put out a bounty where he wanted someone to create a plugin, I believe, so that XRP could be used with, I think it's WordPress websites, which is what WooCommerce does maybe. XRP Labs through Wind and two of the lab's co-founders are working overtime to create XRP use cases. And part of increasing adoption is by creating an ecosystem around the use of ILP. So apparently someone took him up on his deal and created the plugin that he was asking for, and so now XRP can be used in e-commerce on WooCommerce. How big is that? That is huge. Okay, XRP veteran, what is your opinion? They're talking about IBM and Stellar's WorldWire. Okay, WorldWire is what IBM has created to compete. I think the gist of what I read is it'll compete. It's a competitor to Xcurrent and Xrapid. They chose to use Stellar on that platform. Well, what's interesting here, many times we've said before when talking about different things that Ripple is working on, and like R3 would be a great example. They're going to be on the R3 Corda Settler platform, and XRP is going to be is the first digital asset that will be used for settlement. But R3 made it very clear that over time they will have other digital assets in the mix as well. Well, I see this IBM thing in a very similar way. This guy that's speaking here is the head of IBM He's the head of IBM Blockchain Director, and in this clip, I have to assume he's referencing their WorldWire, because he's talking about how you'll be able to settle in cryptocurrencies, and he says it could be XLM, it could be Bitcoin, it could be, he even mentions XRP, so it could be XRP, and I think he's referring to their thing. I'm not 100% sure. It's a short clip, but I think that's what XRP veteran was getting at. But the point is that there's 2 points here. The first point is nobody ever said that Ripple and XRP are not going to have competitors. Of course they're going to have competitors. Microsoft had competitors. Apple had competitors. Both of them made bukus of money. but they had competitors and continue to have competitors. Nobody ever said there wouldn't be competitors, but here's the other thing. All of these platforms are not, there's not going to be any single digital asset, whether it's Stellar or XRP. What we're talking about here and what's important is that XRP is going to be in the mix, and it has got the advantage of having been at this game for 5 years. And I believe, and we referenced it yesterday, and Bob Way had written a piece, and he was talking, it was from XRPchat.com. He was talking about, one of his posts was talking about how Ripple, the company, had gone back and forth about, do they want to focus on Ripple software or do they want to make their focus on XRP? Well, I think that the way he said it, they are all in on and focused on XRP. And the reason I believe that is because they now know that the world has opened its arms to cryptocurrencies, whereas in the past it had been kind of like the world was saying, oh, well, that's for money laundering. It was a negative connotation, and now they know that it's going to be accepted. And their goal is to be one of those 5 to 10 digital assets that are in the mix for worldwide movement of money. And they know that it's not going to be any one. They've never said it's going to just be XRP. Nobody's ever said that, or I haven't said it. XRP is going to be one of the movers of money around the world, and that's huge, huge. Just if Ripple, I've said it before, if Ripple only achieved a small percentage of what they're trying to achieve, it is on like Donkey Kong, folks. Sorry, I'm a child of the 80s, so I use that terminology sometimes. Okay, C3 Nick. This is big right here, too. Outlook XRP add-in, money message. Send money by email with ease. Money message is an add-in for Microsoft Outlook, which allows you to append money in the form of XRP and send it to any email receiver. And he puts the screenshot here, but I clicked on this. So you can go to moneymessage.radynamics.com and check this out. Moneymessage.com, I guess, is the website. But anyway, send money by email with ease, and they've incorporated this somehow with XRP TipBot. I'm not going to get into all the technicalities of it, but suffice it to say, if you follow the instructions and all this, you can send XRP through Outlook email now. How cool is that? Adoption, 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 folks. This is from Hoder's new blog today. Ripple's entertainment industry takeover. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I just wanted to show you this part right here, just so you can see just how big some of the things that, this is a great little timeline of what Ripple's got going on. And all of them have a consistent theme that is easy for us to identify. Ripple is aiming to dominate the monetization of entertainment. Here's a timeline of major events. May of 2018, Ripple announces the Spring Initiative. Ripple hires Ethan Beard from Facebook. Ripple announces spring investment in Scooter Braun projects. Scooter Braun being the entertainment icon. Stefan Thomas founds Coil to monetize electronic content. November 2018, Ripple announces spring investments in Securitize to tokenize assets. This one could be bigger than any of them. February 2019, Ripple announces spring investment in Raised in Space, Scooter Braun. Ripple announces spring investment in Kava Labs, ILP technology. Cinnamon Video announces plans for coil-based video streaming. Ripple announces spring investment in Dharma to help tokenize credit markets. March 2019, Ripple announces spring investment in Forte Gaming. Coil announces Rafiki, a new ILP connector. There are two paths represented by this timeline, a technical path and an entertainment industry path. So you can see where all this is going, folks. And that is what I wanted to show you in this article. It's a great article, though. Go and read it. You can go to xrpcommunity.blog and read the whole article. Next. And this is really interesting, folks. This is from, what an interesting name, Quantum Field Petrolhead at GELO4PP sent me this. And he's got Joker from my favorite Batman movie, which is The Dark Knight. I wish that, as I recall, Heath Ledger overdosed. That guy was a good actor. That's an awful thing that happened. But anyway, moving along, this is what he sent me. XRP most likely crypto to rise in 2019, says survey from Japanese internet giant. This has got several interesting pieces of information in it. Japanese internet giant GMO, an operator of crypto exchange GMO Coin, released the results of a recent web questionnaire from January 30th to February 20th, targeting 10,964 users. According to the survey, roughly 50% of respondents named XRP as the cryptocurrency most likely to rise in price in 2019. About 70% of the respondents believe in the future of cryptocurrencies at large. These are interesting here. Other key findings. Over 70% are holding cryptocurrencies as long-term investments. Roughly 90% began trading after 2017, folks. Following Bitcoin's record high and significant media attention, roughly 20% began trading in 2019. But this is the one I'm interested in. 90% of the people that are answering this survey did not even begin trading cryptocurrencies until after that run-up last December. What that tells you, folks, is how many folks are going to be in this next bull run when the sentiment shift happens and people are finally told in the media and the FOMO begins and they start to say, hey, the market's taking off. When the people come in this time, it is going to be a much, much greater flood than what we saw last time. And that translates into price increases, folks. While I'm talking about price increases for a minute, I heard someone say something that I wanted to correct the other day. The other day, I showed you, I've been very upfront about the fact that I'm not a chart guy. I don't do charts, but I showed you a chart guy the other day that I found interesting. The guy sounded like he really knew what he was talking about, and he had done a chart where he showed that he thought that there was going to be an XRP breakout and that it could go as high as $172. Well, I show you those things because it's interesting to me to look at those things, just as it's interesting to you to look at those things. I was not in any way saying that I think that on the next run XRP is going to 172. All I was saying was that this is one chart guy who presents an interesting argument for that. I was not saying that that's what I believe. That's not what I'm saying at all. There's not one part of me that does not believe that XRP could go that high. But I'm not saying that it goes that high on the next run. All I'm saying is here's one guy that seems to know charts, and this is his opinion. And so I heard somebody say that that was my call of XRP going to 172. That is not my call. So I want to correct the record on that. Okay. If you want my call, my call is I believe that XRP on the next run goes somewhere. I personally believe there's no reason on the planet that it won't go from $8 to $20. I really don't. That's what I personally believe. Just based on everything all the stars that have been aligned and how far we were able to go on the last bull run with a lot less in the works. It wouldn't be anything for XRP to achieve those things if you look at it in the scheme of things. Okay, and finally from XRP Australia, at XRP_Australia. And by the way, since I got in digital currencies, I have found out how cool the Australian people really are. The Australian people are some of the smartest people that I have found in this digital asset space. Australia seems to be on the leading edge of digital assets, and I've met a lot of interesting people and smart people that are following this. And here's just another example. XRP Australia sent me this. It's a company called RedGrid, building the Internet of Energy. And I want you all to go watch their video because this is interesting. And what's even more interesting is that they're going to be using holo fuel. And these guys, I want you to go on their homepage, go to this website's kind of strange. It's holo.host/project/redgrid. Go check this out. They've got a video right here where these guys tell you it's powered by Holochain, and they tell you exactly what their plan is. And if I had to describe, after having watched the video, if I had to describe it in a nutshell, they're talking about more or less, I may butcher this explanation like I butcher names sometimes, but so I do want you to go watch the video. But one of the better things I heard them say in here is, imagine, they said that in Australia they've had blackouts where if you, let's say in hot periods where it's really hot, many air conditioners are running at once. Imagine an internet that is able to link all of these sorry, I'm sorry, I got choked up there. Imagine an internet that's able to connect not just the things that are using energy, but things that are not, that are helping to save energy, different machines. But imagine you've got, it's very hot in, say, Australia, and they have blackouts is what they were saying. Imagine you've got air conditioning units that at different times may not need to use the resources they're using, and imagine an internet that can regulate that and take one air conditioner down when it's not, when they're not really needing it, and then bring another one back up to try to balance out the amount of energy that's being used. That is a very rough explanation of what they said. So go watch the video. But it's building the internet of energy. That sounded like a really, what a great tagline for a company, RedGrid. So go watch this. They're going to be using the Holochain, and that's great because I'm a Holochain investor, and I think some of you are too. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family to go check out RedGrid. Thank you for listening.